Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mark back in the workshop on Mark's Aquatics. Right then, on today's little episode, we're going to be going into the coral room. Now, I've just been going through all my old stuff here. I've got some old filter sock holders, different things, some old frag racks which I've had from a few years ago now when I was keeping marines still. And I've got all the gridding systems as well for the frags and the plugs to go in. I've cut some new ones though. We'll go into the workshop in a minute. We've got some baby better in there as well. Some of Jackson's little babies. He's looking after those, but I'll give you a little update on those on a later date. The koi are doing fine. They've all had their breakfast. So, what else have I got to show you here? Oh, I've got an old doser here as well. One of my old dosing systems. Two of the same, interprogrammable. Really clever. Little drive, little slave system down the bottom here. It's missing one of the pump heads, but they're easily enough to get hold of, and stick a new one straight onto that motor there. And I've got link cables that link up to them, and they actually will put magnesium, calcium and all the alkalinity that you need back into your system, back into the coral system as it's being used by the corals. So I think what I should do is grab my coffee, wherever, there it is, and we'll shoot off into the coral room and I'll show you what I've been up to in there. Right guys, there you go. We've got water in, we're all cycled, crystal clear. I know the sump looks a little bit of a mess at the moment, but I've been doing some alterations in there from the last time that you saw a video when I was going in there and looking at stuff. I've got a lot of biohome media in there, which Richard kindly sent me quite some time ago now, and I was going to do a smaller backy shower filter for the koi pond, but I thought it's going to be absolutely amazing to get some bacteria growing in amongst that lot. I'll get in there with you in a minute and we'll have a closer look at that, but I thought we'd have a look at what I've been doing so far. We've got some big wave maker in there. I made that tank slightly. I thought it was going to fit in there nice and horizontal, but it just goes in there at an angle, and it's one of these J-Bose pumps, and it does an amazing job. These two big cylinders here which rotate with fans in, and it literally sucks that water in, and it blows it 6 feet all the way down through this tank, all the way up into the overflow at the back. And I've got another little power head there just to help it on its way for the time being while it was cycling. We've gone through a crazy diatom phase, as you can see from this massive coral head which I've got. I love this tank's going to look so awesome when it's all finished. It really is. I'm going to call it Coral Island, and it looks like a little atoll, you know, when you look at it from the top there. All of it's out the water. I think I might get some mangroves going out here, make like a little coral island out of it. And then as we come down below the waterline, you can see all the nooks and crannies. You can still see a lot of the diatom phase which is on here. A lot of it I've been scrubbing off the glass. You can still see it up in the corners on the silicone. I've got a bristle-toothed tang in here, but I'm not sure if you can see somebody just in that right down there. I'll zoom in. I'm not sure if you can see a little head poking out there, keeping a beady eye on me. And that's one thing with marine fish, they love hiding. They're very sure they know what's going on outside the tank, and if they feel threatened. Obviously she's on her own in there in the moment, so she's a little bit, I wouldn't say stressed, she's just a bit spooked, but she's done an amazing job of cleaning up all this diatom phase, which is like the first stage you get. It's like a brown dust. If I come down into the sump, you'll see it all over the skimmer there, you see, and all over that media as well. It goes all brown. Now this is just one stage. This is the first stage of the cycle that goes through, and it's just like a fine brown dust, and it just goes everywhere. But in a matter of time, within about 12 weeks, it's going to be all gone, and it will go. You'll find your coral reef will go through changes, all different colours. Algae will start growing, different things will start growing. I've kept this system right down to a minimum because I've got that. Basically that's 20 kilos, that piece of rock there, but it was dead rock. It wasn't live rock. It will be live. It will become live as time goes on. Obviously as we put little bits in here and get corals and buy corals to put in here, there's going to be bacteria on those as well because they've come from a reef, and that will colonize that over time. But I didn't want to be putting too much live rock in here because I want to keep the parasites and things down, and the nasties to a minimum. And when you buy in small corals for your system, I always say when you're looking at them inside the tanks in the shops that you go in, make sure there's no aptasia on them, and they're little tiny anemones that will just, you'd see them, they're very, very, they're like a light brown colour, very similar to the diatom colour, and they're long trailing tentacles, and they will sting everything. They'll sting your corals. They're a pain in the backside, they really are. So if you see those on a piece of coral, even if it's a nice piece of coral, I wouldn't buy it. I'd just steer away from it. You can get rid of them. You can use these wands which have got a little electric shocks in them and they kill them. You can use different methods. There's different methods of getting rid of aptasia, but flatworms is another thing. When you buy a piece of coral, make sure there's no flatworms on it, because they can be an absolute curse, and they can multiply in their millions in no time at all, and they'll be everywhere, all over your glass. And I know some of you marine keepers out there have probably had them in the past, and you can get this this stuff. I'm not sure if it's called some exit or flatworm exit or something it's called, and it just literally breaks them down. You've got to do huge water changes and things to get rid of them, but they're a pain as well. So we don't want to be introducing these things. I want to keep the system as clean as I can and bring on these corals. Nudibranchs are another thing. We'll go down here, give you another view. Nudibranchs are another thing. They're like basically they're underwater slugs, and they will just go around and they will attack your different types of coral, your Montipora corals, all the plate corals. Sometimes you'll get them on staghorn corals, and they will literally mimic the actual staghorn coral, and they will eat it, and you won't even know they're there. They're so hard to see. But there's lots of parasites which we'll get into as time goes on when we start fragging corals, and I'll be teaching you all about that kind of stuff as well. We'll get into that at a later date. But we can see what I've done here. I've put in the auto top-up system there, okay, which is run from my RO system, which is in the workshop, and I put it on a ball valve. Now what I've done is I've cut an extra little bit of foam, and I've put that around the ball at the end there, you see, so it's giving it more buoyancy, and it shuts that valve off and gives it more pressure there. Now I've got my level line which I put on there with a piece of tape, and that other line down there. We put a bubble trap in there as well, if you can see. I know I said I wasn't going to put a bubble trap in there, but we had so much volume coming down, we had so much oxygen being produced down in here, that with the skimmer as well, it was actually getting blown through, and the pumps were picking it up, and it was taking it back up into the systems, and we don't want lots of air up in the tanks. So that now, basically, the pipes, as you can see from the valves here, there's the two pipes that come down from each tank. They go into this main sump here, into each filter sock, which I've put on just for the time being, because it picks up all that diatom in the water, that algae in that it's growing. It'll pick that up. You see the brown on there, it's picking all that up, and I'll take them off later on when all that phase is calmed down. But the skimmer's working well. The old Deltec fired that up. That's nice and stinky, pulling out lots of nice smelly stuff in there. Look, that's working well. To clean that out at some point today. But basically what it does, the water comes down from both the tanks, goes into the sump, and then the water draws through all of this media, okay? And underneath the first baffle, that first baffle there where the RO system's attached to, there's about ½ an inch gap at the bottom. So all that water is getting sucked all through that media, then it's going up, back down, and then up again the other side, and going back to the return pumps, which are blowing out up here. As you can see, we've got a lovely flow there. I've got another power head blowing that way, and I've got one blowing that way, so we've got a nice circular movement there. And then we come all the way around with a little bit of polystyrene there, and it all goes down the return there, as with that one as well. I've got some of these little caps which I've been cutting off of a piece of the pipe, because they're going to go on the bottom. And if we come back over here, I've got the grids there which I've cut now for going in here like that. See, I've cut those so they're going to fit lovely in there. We've got two of those we're going to put in there, and we're going to put hundreds of frags all the way through this tank over time. As the corals grow, this is going to be more like my show tank, as it were. We're going to have different species of fish in there. We're going to try and colonise this, make it into a lovely little reef, and keep it down to a minimum. Lots of swimming space for the fish. Going to get some nice small nano species in there as well, I think, which are going to look really nice. Different little gobies and things. We're going to try and breed some of them. I used to breed gobies a few years back now, the little blue neon gobies. They're quite easy to breed, but we can get into that later on as things settle down. We can get some zoas in there. We can stick different types of corals all over that big coral head, and it's going to look absolutely stunning when all the colours there and those UV lights kick on at night time, and everything will just glow up. As you reefers know, it looks absolutely amazing, and this is just going to be a big sea of colour over time, because as these corals grow, I'm going to nip bits off of them and I'm going to plug them up, and we're going to put them in here. So we're going to bring them on. So later on down the line, as they grow, I'll be selling them off. If any of you guys are in South Wales and you fancy a trip, later on it's going to be, I'll be selling off a few just to help the hobby out, put some money back into it, and obviously it's bringing on coral, so we're not taking from the wild, and that's one of the things that I can't stress enough, is all these corals that come from the wild. If you can buy ones that have been fragged off, and buy those, guys, okay? I know everyone wants a huge big full-on reef with monster corals in and everything else like that, but the good thing to do is to buy the frags, buy off people, buy off friends, and you're going to end up with a nice little colony that's used to being in tank conditions, and that's, you know, that's important, and it's not going to bring in pests and things as well, because a lot of these people, a lot of the shops as well, you know, when they get in these corals, they don't dip them, they put them straight into their tanks, and you'll find that you'll get it, you'll have lots of other corals in there, and if you're not quarantining your corals and checking them out and dipping them, we'll get into all that later on, you're going to be introducing pests. And I've known people have beautiful reefs and they've just bought in one coral and it's just a nudibranchs on it, and once they get in amongst your corals, it is an absolute nightmare to get rid of them. It really is, and they'll eat your corals in a matter of in hours. You'll see them, they'll just eat the living tissue from them, and they'll go deep into the corals in the night time, in the daytime, sorry, and you won't find them, and they'll be laying their eggs in there as well. So you think you've got the adults out, you can turkey baste a few out, but then you'll find that you get new ones all the time, and it's an absolute curse. It's such a shame when you get that far, and you end up with an explosion of these these pests. It's not much fun at all. But it's coming on in here now. I'm rambling. We've got some lovely rubber mats down on the floor as well, which I've cut in all around here. I've put some plastic on the sides as well, make it a little bit more tidy. I've got another little bank of tanks under there, which I'm going to do something with. Maybe a little creatures and critters sort of set up. I've got some bulkheads which I'm going to drill through all those. We got some more salt there. We got another skimmer there. And going back along here as well, I can show you. I'll just turn this light off actually, the main light. It might get a bit blue. Bear with me. But I've done some more work to the jelly tank as well, this side up. I know you guys have been saying, get those white pipes painted black. And I will do that at some point, but I've put some black now over this part of the jellyfish tank and onto the lid as well. I've got my old little Nemo up there, which is looking after the tank at the moment. And I've got a little announcement to make as well, because UK Jellyfish have sponsored me some jellyfish. They've been watching the videos and they got in touch. Well, I got in touch with them first, and about getting some. And they said they'd sponsor me some, and I was over the moon with that. That was fantastic. And so they're going to be sending those. They're coming on Wednesday, I think, Wednesday or Thursday. So maybe on Wednesday's video, we can they'll all be swirling lovely around in there. That's going to be absolutely amazing to see those in there, because we built that. Oh, I built that in the workshop going back quite a long time now, and it was. And I've just been itching to get it going, get some jellyfish in there. But it looks a lot nicer now with this black. Basically all it is vinyl, and I've just put some vinyl onto the acrylic on the top and the bottom, so you've just got that nice big dish now, which is, as you can see how big it is compared to my hand. It's a big old lump, and it's going to look absolutely fabulous. Got a couple of my old canvases up there, still got some work to do around the doors as well. That's my little drain off. This is all going to be cupboarded in. I'm going to paint that all black later on as well. Maybe a little nice little double opening door on there. But we're getting there. And I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to build a sink. Put a sink unit in there. So when I'm doing my fragging, so I'm going to have my coral saw there, sink there, some cupboards underneath. And I can store my stuff away. And maybe a few shelves up here and stuff, just to put all my test kits on and stuff like that. Got all the wiring up here from the pumps and everything. It's a bit untidy at the moment, but that's all going to get tidied up as we go along. But we're getting there, guys. We are getting there slowly. It smells like the ocean in here. It's absolutely amazing. I've got some Cheeto coming as well, some Cheeto Morpha, which is a little macroalgae, which is like, it looks like spaghetti, like a ball of wire wool. It looks like when it comes. Getting that from a guy in Bristol, from off of eBay, I think it was. And basically I'm going to put that in there, and that's going to aid in getting rid of those nitrates as well. Obviously that biohome is going to get a massive colony of bacteria growing in there. That's going to be the aerobic and anaerobic bacteria, which is going to be forming deep within that, and as within that massive chunk as well, that bacteria is going to be growing away in there. Like I said, it's all cycled now. I've got a few turbo snails in there, I think about 3, and a couple of hermit crabs as well, which are just whizzing around. I don't think they're out and about at the moment. In fact, one's shed there, if you can see. And that's a little tip for you guys as well. When you first get your hermit crabs and you put them into a new system, you'll find they'll shed with the different water quality that you've got into the shops, and they'll shed their shell, and you'll think, oh no, it's dead, but it's not. It'll still be in the shell. But that's the time. Just maybe put another couple of shells in there, because he's going to be outgrowing the shell he's in, so they'll need some more shells. So always keep your eye open for more shells. You can get them off the beach as well if you live local to a beach. Make sure you boil them up first and kill anything on them and remove any rubbish from them first. I'm just looking for you now. I know I've got some little black turbos in there somewhere, the little black skin turbos, and they normally, you can see where they've been, all over here, munching away. And she's not going to come out and see us. She's a little bit spooked, but that's okay. So I think that's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to have some mangroves coming out of here, and it's really going to come together over the next sort of next few months. These things with corals and things, everything takes time. That's one thing and I can't stress enough, guys, when you're getting a coral system set up, take your time, enjoy it, study it as much as you can, okay? Anything you need to know, obviously drop it in the comments below and I'll help you out the best I can. But because like I said before, guys, this is what I major in more than the freshwater stuff. I mean, I've kept all manner of species of things throughout my life and so far, but the corals is the thing that's that gets me, and the colours, the fish species you can get, and the diversity of life is absolutely amazing. And it's just an amazing thing to watch in the evening. You know, watching a reef and everything, all the inhabitants in there. You'll get a little bit of live rock, and you'll think, oh, I've got a nice couple of little corals on there, and then before you know it, you might see something else growing on there, which is an amazing thing. And you've bought something that you never realised that you've had. You know, you might end up with a few little different types of polyps, little zoas on there, different colour ones, and they'll just slowly spread with time. But it is a real time game with the corals. So just enjoy it, sit back and enjoy it. Like I said, we've gone through the diatom phase now. The sand's nice and white. You can still see there's little brown patches on there where it's growing on the surface, like around here. But that's nothing to worry about. That'll all clean up and clear up in time. And then over time we can get some sand sifting starfish, and what they do is they bury into the sand and they take all that sand in, they clean it, and then they'll come up there and then they'll move over there and then they'll sink in again. They're great. Algae blennies are another thing. You'll see them chewing away on the rocks, getting rid of the algae. Don't go too mad on snails, guys, as well, when you first get a tank, because you'll starve them so easily. I mean, in this tank here, that's that massive piece of rock, and I've only got about 3 snails. That's all I've got in there, I think. Yeah, it was 3. I only bought the 3. But that's going to be enough for them. Slowly going around there, and as you add things, they're going to be going as well. It's amazing how much ground they can cover when they get going. But if you put too many in there, you'll find they'll starve. They'll get like tired, and they'll lose energy, and they'll hide up in a rock somewhere. And before you know it, your little hermit crabs will be pulling them out of their shells, trying to. Well, they'll be eating them first, and then trying to get in the shells. But because they've starved, basically they starve to death. So you've got to be. You don't want to go too mad on your cleaning crew, okay? Obviously cleaner shrimps as well when you get the fish. They're awesome to watch, and put your hands in there and they'll clean your hands as well. That's always nice, a little nice thing. And the fire shrimps and the dancing shrimps, all different types. Sexy shrimps, we'll get into all those. Gonna have a crack at breeding those. So it's going to be good fun. Right, there you go. You've had a 20-minute ramble on the on the fish room so far, on the old coral room so far. Hope you enjoyed the little video. share it with your mates, give us a thumbs up if you like these videos, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It'd be great, love to have you aboard. And as always, you're all stars, love you loads, take care. I'm going to go and clean that skimmer out, and I'm going to see you on the next episode of Mark's Aquatics. Bye for now.
Just me and my guitar.